Today, I'm going to be revealing the new best build for every single position in NBA 2K22 Next Gen. These builds are going to work for pretty much all game modes, but first, before we delve into things though, please like and subscribe. I mean, it's 100% free, literally takes 5 seconds and helps me out so much. I'm going to start off with the guard build and then I'll move into big man builds. So starting things off with the point guard position. Obviously, for the position, you are going to want to go with point guard. Next, for the body settings, for the height, I'd recommend going with 6'1". For the weight, I'd recommend going with 168. And then for the wingspan, go with 6'3". This is overall, in my opinion, the best balance between having absolutely insane three-point hunting skills, but at the same time not being too small where you have terrible defense. Starting things off with the finishing attributes and badges, you guys can see you have an 85 driving dunk and 15 finishing badges. This obviously isn't a build you're going to be spamming rim runs on, but you do get pro contact dunks. So if you have a clear lane towards the basket, you can 100% take it, but I wouldn't really recommend just spamming rim runs on this build. Next, for shooting, you have a 95 three-pointer, 99 with boosts, as well as 32 total shooting badges. Overall, this build is just not going to be missing no matter where you are on the floor. Next, for playmaking, this is just as insane. You've in total 34 playmaking badges, as well as 86 pass accuracy, and a 93 ball handling and a 93 speed of the ball. Moving on to defensive / rebounding, you guys can see I have an 85 perimeter defense and a 90 steal, as well as gold clamps and Hall of Fame interceptor. This build can 100% hold its own on the defensive end. Its defense obviously isn't crazy or anything, but you're not going to get absolutely torched on the 2s, and on the 3s and 5s, you definitely will be in passing lane. Next, for the physicals, you guys can see this is all around pretty good. You need a 75 vertical to get pro contact dunks, and also the reason why my speed is a little bit low is because it helps with moving around off ball, whereas acceleration, which is way more important, helps with speed boosting faster. This build in total has 100 badges, which is absolutely insane. Its three-point hunting is going to be top tier. You're going to be able to hold your own on the defensive end, and it's also not one of those builds that you just can't rim run on at all. If you do want free throw on this build, all you're going to want to do is drop down the speed with ball one rating. This will give you a 79 free throw, which is more than good enough. Next, moving on to the takeovers. For the first takeover, you're going to want to go with limitless range, and then for the secondary takeover, go with limitless range again. Trust me, this is the best takeover for guards. I mean, with these takeovers, especially with double takeover, you can honestly shoot from anywhere. And this build ends up coming out to be a two-way three-point playmaker, which is in my personal opinion such a cool name. Next, for the shooting guard build, this is going to be a glitched build with multiple steps, so kind of just bear with me. First things first, you're going to need to make a brand new build. Go ahead and make sure you are the shooting guard position. Next, for the body settings, you're going to want to go 6'3", 220, and a 7-foot wingspan. And then for the body shape, you are going to want to go with burly. And then for the attributes, you're going to want to upgrade these randomly. You're not actually going to be making this build, but you do have to do this really quick to glitch the build. And then same exact things for the takeovers. Go with whatever you want to. And you guys can see I built a two-way mid-range facilitator. From there, what you're pretty much going to want to do is scroll over to where it says edit build, press edit build, and then continuously press circle or B to back out to the main menu. Once you've done that, change it over to the metric system and edit the build you just made. So you guys can see this is the exact same build as before. And what you're going to want to do is pretty much edit the body settings. For the height, you're going to want to go 2.05 meters. Also, don't go above 2.05 meters and then go back down. Just go straight to 2.05. And then next, for the weight and wingspan, you're going to want to go with max. Do pretty much the exact same thing you did previously and pretty much just upgrade the build randomly. And then moving on to the takeovers, again, pretty much just do the exact same thing. Go with random takeovers. And this time I built a two-way pass first guard. Now you're pretty much done. There's just one more step. What you're going to want to do is scroll over to edit build, back out to the main menu and change it back to the empirical system. Once you've done that, you can pretty much edit the build you just made and pretty much just copy down the body settings, attributes, and takeovers I'm about to show you guys. So for example, you're going to want to go with 6'7" for the height, 180 for the weight, and 6'10" on the wingspan. You guys can see the stats on this build are absolutely insane. And if you don't do those first two steps to glitch the build, you won't be able to get this good stats. Moving on to the attributes, you guys can see what I did for finishing. I have a 92 driving dunk and 17 finishing badges. This way you can get elite contact dunks, and trust me, you can catch a ton of contacts on this build. Next, for shooting, you guys can see I have an 85 three-pointer and 25 shooting badges. 100% this build is just not going to be missing. Moving on to playmaking, this is also insane with 28 total playmaking badges. Also, if you are considering making this build, you might want to upgrade the ball handle 1 rating to an 85. Personally, I don't don't use any of the 85 ball handling dribble moves, but some of you guys might. And then moving on to defensive / rebounding, this is absolutely insane. Obviously, you only have 20 total defensive badges, but you get Hall of Fame clamps and a Hall of Fame interceptor. And for this reason, the defense on this build is going to be very good. And then moving on to the physicals, you guys can see this is absolutely insane and are all around just crazy for a 6'7" build. This build in total has 90 badges, which honestly isn't that crazy. But if you guys just look at the attributes on this build, you guys will see it's all around very, very good. If you do want free throw on this build, all you're going to want to do is drop down the offensive rebound to a 33. This will give you an 83 free throw, which is more than good enough. And then moving on to the takeovers. For the first takeover, I'd recommend going with extreme clamps. And then for the secondary takeover, I'd recommend going with limitless range. I think for a shooting guard build, these are overall the best takeovers, but you can switch them if you want to. And then as you guys can see, I built a two-way 3-point playmaker, which is in my opinion actually a very accurate name. Moving on to the small forward build. So for the small forward build, this is going to be a completely normal build, not a glitched build at all. Obviously, for the position, you are going to want to go with small forward. For the body settings, you're going to want to go with 6'7". This is going to be a normal 6'7" build. For the weight, you're going to want to go with 181 and 7'2" on the wingspan. These body settings are all around going to give you very good defense. Starting things off with finishing, this is very similar to the previous build. You have a 92 driving dunk for elite contacts, and you also have 17 finishing badges. And all around, even though you only have 17 finishing badges, since you are 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan, you definitely are going to catch a ton of contact dunks. Next, for shooting, you guys can see this is pretty good. You have 24 shooting badges and an 81 free throw. I know this isn't super duper high, but trust me, with an 81 free throw, you can definitely green very, very consistently. And then moving on to playmaking, this is all around very good. You only have silver quick first step, but if you know what you're doing, you can definitely dribble on this build. Although this probably isn't going to be your primary ball handling build. And then moving on to defensive / rebounding, this is honestly insane. You have 28 defensive / rebounding badges, which is more than good enough, as well as Hall of Fame clamps, Hall of Fame interceptor, and gold chase down artist, and also an 84 block. All around, this build can honestly guard every single position, and is definitely going to be clamping everyone up. And then moving on to the physicals, you guys can see this is quite good as well. And even though you only have an 80 speed, you don't really struggle to move around the court. This build in total has 95 badges, which is pretty decent. This is all around going to be an absolute lockdown build that at the same time on the offensive end is going to be very good. If you do want free throw on this build, what I'd recommend doing is drop down your offensive rebound to a 64. You can then get a 62 free throw. And if you want something even higher, I'd recommend dropping down your close shot to a 50. This will give you an 87 free throw, which is absolutely insane. Moving on to the takeovers. For the first takeover, I'd recommend going with extreme clamps. And then for the secondary takeover, I went with finishing moves. I don't think you can get sharpshooting takeover on this build, and I also wanted it to be kind of a two-way finisher. And as you guys can see, I built a two-way pass first wing, which is honestly such an interesting name, but also kind of a cool name. So moving on to the power forward build, this is going to be another glitched build, and the glitch is going to be the exact same thing as the shooting guard build. So really quickly, I will just show you guys how to set this thing up. Pretty much what you're going to want to do is make a 6'3" shooting guard with max weight, max wingspan, and the burly body shape. For the takeovers and the attributes, this pretty much doesn't matter, just upgrade it however you want to. And then once you have made the build, scroll over to where it says edit build and change it over to the metric system. After that, you're pretty much good to go, and you're going to want to copy down these settings. If you're still confused about how to set up this build, there's a video in the card above. I went a bit more in depth on how to glitch this build. As you guys can see, we are going to be the shooting guard position, but 100%, as you guys can see, this is probably going to be best suited for running power forward or small forward. But you do need to be shooting guard to get these absolutely insane stats and badges, and the position definitely does not matter nearly as much as the badges and attributes. So for the body settings, you're going to want to go with 2.05 meters. For the weight, you're going to want to max this thing out, and you're also going to want to max out the wingspan. This way, as you can see, you get a 99 defensive rebound, which means you can get Hall of Fame rebound chaser. Starting things off with the finishing attributes and badges, you guys can see I have in total 25 finishing badges. And this build is definitely going to be getting a ton of contact dunks with a 92 driving dunk and also an 88 standing dunk. Next for shooting, you guys can see you have 23 shooting badges and a 77 three-pointer. I definitely like that this build can shoot very consistently. And then moving on to playmaking, pretty much the only thing that matters on a power forward build is pass accuracy, which I went ahead and upgraded to an 85. This way you can get gold bullet passer and Hall of Fame break starter. Next, moving on to defensive slash rebounding. You guys can see this is all around insane. Even total 37 defensive slash rebounding badges, as well as Hall of Fame interceptor and Hall of Fame rebound chaser. I'm pretty sure this might be one of the only builds in this game that can get both Hall of Fame interceptor and Hall of Fame rebound chaser. Not to mention, your perimeter defense isn't half bad either, with silver clamps and a 79 perimeter defense. And then moving on to the physicals, you guys can see this is just all around insane. This build in total has 96 badges, which is very, very good. And this is going to be an absolute beast of a build. Not only are you going to be able to knock down shots consistently, but you're also going to be getting a ton of contact dunks. And as well, your defense and rebounding is going to be absolutely insane with 37 total badges. If you do want free throw on this build, what you're going to want to do is drop down your stamina to a 94. Also drop down your driving layup to a 79 and you can get a 74 free throw. Moving on to the takeovers. Overall, the best takeovers for this build is Stuff Box and See the Future. You can flip these if you want to, but this is just what I went with. And as you guys can see, I built a two-way facilitating finisher, which is in my opinion a pretty cool name. Moving on to the final build of this video. So for the final build of this video, this is going to be the center build. Moving on to the body settings. For the height, you're going to want to go with 7'3". For the weight, you're going to want to go 237. And then for the wingspan, you're going to want to max this thing out. This pretty much means you're going to be absolutely dominant in the inside. Starting things off with the finishing attributes and badges, you have in total 34 finishing badges. And you guys can see this is all around very, very good. You have a 99 standing dunk and Hall of Fame posterizer. And you're just going to be dunking on everyone. And if you want to, you can post score as well. Moving on to shooting, you guys can see I pretty much didn't upgrade anything at all. This is definitely an inside build. For playmaking, the only thing that matters is pass accuracy. I have this at an 85. This way I can get gold bullet passer and Hall of Fame break starter. And then moving on to defensive slash rebound, you guys can see this is absolutely insane. Pretty much everything in this category is maxed out. But you're also going to get Hall of Fame brick wall, Hall of Fame intimidator, Hall of Fame rim protector, and also Hall of Fame rebound chaser, which is crazy. Definitely, you're just going to be getting unlimited blocks and unlimited rebounds on this build. And then moving on to the physicals, you guys can see this is all around pretty decent. This build in total has 89 badges, which honestly isn't too crazy, but it's not really that big of a deal. You guys can see as an inside big man build, it can pretty much do everything that you wanted to. If you're planning on playing Rec Center or Pro-Am and you want free throw on this build, what you're going to want to do first is drop down your driving layup to a 60. You can only get a 53 free throw off of this, but I did have one extra rating on offensive rebound. If you take this away, you can get a 75 free throw. Moving on to the takeovers. For the first takeover, I went with See the Future, and then for the secondary takeover, I went with Stuff Blocks. These are definitely the best takeovers for this build, and of course, you can flip them if you want to. And as you guys can see, I built a Paint Beast, which definitely makes a ton of sense as a name. If you did make it this far into the video and you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. There's a gameplay video of me using a glitch 7'2" build, as well as a dribble tutorial on the screen right now. Like, comment, subscribe, go follow me on Twitter, and I'm out. Peace.